There you are, James. So introducing up next, we've got Eric Wirks and Allison Endicott. James, you want to take it away from here? It looks like we're entering the mastering modernization, enhancing the moving business through digital evolution.
Absolutely. I'm waiting on Eric and Allison to come up. There they are. So stars of the show here. We're going to do another panel style here, and we're going to continue to focus on technology. And we are joined by a couple of great guests. So first up, we have Eric Wirks. He is the founder of Wirks Moving and Storage. I believe you guys are in Atlanta still, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me, Eric. And then I got Allison, CEO of Wirks Moving and Storage. And so you guys have seen a lot. You've had a front row seat. Allison, you have quite the interesting background. You didn't come out of moving. You've been doing it for a few years now, but now you're taking the lead for Wirks Moving and Storage. And appreciate you guys taking some time to talk about mastering modernization and enhancing your business through a digital evolution. And you guys have been doing this for a while. You guys, everyone thinks, oh, this whole, virtual survey and virtual stuff, happened because of COVID. Nope, not for you guys. You guys have a great story about one of your staff, one of your sales folks, and I'm going to let you guys talk about that for a little bit. But Allison, we'll start with you, talking about, exploring and implementing new things, starting with kind of a story around one of your sales reps.
Hey, yeah, so everyone can hear me, right? We're good?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, good deal. So we actually started using virtual survey solutions prior to the pandemic. One of our sales reps had found out that she was pregnant, and so she was no longer able to go on site once she had the baby. And one of the things that she found she was able to do was to get back into things by starting to use technologies that were available at the time, like FaceTime was a big one. So she started doing these virtual surveys, and she actually had a lot of success with them. Just the way that her sales style worked, it lended itself to that technology, and she was able to harness it, keep her sales numbers right up there with the on-site ones. And we started identifying like certain areas where it was actually even more successful than others. So segue into, the COVID times, the pandemic, you can't go on site. Nobody wants you in their home. We had a little bit of a leg up there, but as more and more of our sales reps started using the technology, we started to see the gap, right? And so we're having to communicate with a customer that like, oh, you're on an Android device. Well, you need to join us on Google Meet, versus if you're on iPhone, then you can join on FaceTime. So we identified that. And so we wanted to find a solution because you'd never want to put a barrier between your customer and the estimate. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to get what they need from you so that you guys can move forward with the relationship. So what we ended up doing was seeking out a technology that did not require an app download. And we had come across one that we used for a period of time, but then we had heard about Live Switch from another one in the industry. And so we pursued that option, loved what we heard, loved the option, loved the pricing. And so we ended up switching the technology, and we've been with that ever since. So I think that's it. I'm sorry. So we've been with this technology ever since, and we enjoy using it. It's helped our team collaborate, and that's, I think, about all that I had on that particular one.
Yeah, no worries. That's great. And just so everyone's aware, the Wirks is not paid by Live Switch. This is them choosing to do whatever they want to do with their business. And Eric, what I want to know from you, and I think what we want to talk about from your side, is covering your butt, covering your backside using recording, because I think you've seen a few things. Maybe you can talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, I believe in general people are good. And I believe having things in place where I call it keeping honest people honest, and then sometimes for whatever reason, things get said, he said, she said, people always have their perception of things, but people's perceptions aren't always what reality is. So on a base level, like everyone should have like a voice over IP system that you can record every inbound, outbound call. That's one thing. We have it at our company to where there's almost no interaction that's not documented, even with the substantial amounts of security we have at our facility. Like you can't even walk in a door in our facility without a key card access. So everything, there's a digital footprint for almost every single thing. And it goes back to like accountability. Like if there's an issue, I want to go to the source, you know, I want to make sure that these stories collaborate, you know, and like just with having a voice over IP system alone, like a customer can say, well, the sales rep told me this, or this and this happened. Send them the recording. It's usually the end of that conversation, you know? So like it just, even with trucks, I can't like, we utilize forward facing and dash and in cab cameras in our GPS tracking system in our trucks. We have had probably 2 or 3 circumstances to where it's saved us substantial money on a major lawsuit. Because anyone who's in this industry knows there's been this circumstance, whether it's your fault or not, when it comes down to a he said, she said, they're almost always going to come after, you know, the big evil corporation. So yeah, if that pretty much sums up in a nutshell as a big broad scope. You can start with stuff right away, even if it's as simple as getting a voice over IP system that records everything, and you know, getting cameras and GPS tracking your trucks on a very small level. And you know, whether you're still doing just phone estimates or whatever, like the next step could be, you know, getting some type of virtual survey platform. And the thing about like live, which we like a lot too, is that you can go, you can send like links to record whatever you could possibly think of to whoever you want to send the link to in real time. So the sky's the limits on like what you can record, and without going down the rabbit hole, like people can come up with their own ideas on that.
Yeah, and Allison, I mean, maybe you can talk a little bit to how you are using these recordings with the sales team, with the customer, you know, whether it's a phone call recording, a video recording, like how are you leveraging that with sales and operations as well as the customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the sales team, we use the videos and phone recordings, not only for training purposes, but for coaching. It allows our sales manager to kind of get a holistic picture, even when an employee isn't necessarily working inside of the building. So that's the way that we primarily leverage the survey videos and the phone recordings is, you know, and like Eric touched on, holding the customer kind of to take their own personal responsibility, right? Like you said this is what was agreed upon, you know, this is our understanding of it. For the most part, it allows us to get that traction with them and kind of just acknowledge that, like Eric kind of started with, keeping honest people honest.
Yeah, I love that. I'm certain over the years, Eric, I'm going to turn this back to you. We want to talk about some lessons learned, some technology pitfalls. Like if you can give people like warning signs, you may be thinking about this right now, but maybe from real world experience, can you talk a little bit about some of the pitfalls you've experienced with technology in the past?
Yeah, so I think several. One is that, and this kind of goes in with like relationships you build with. There's a scalability aspect to technology, and some technology can be very expensive. Okay, and what's not expensive, so a technology can be a really awesome shiny object. Okay, and what's not expensive for a company that does 25 million plus a year might be astronomically expensive and out of the budget for a company that does $2 million a year, you know? And we have been guilty, not substantially, but a few occurrences to where like we're trying to match something that's not quite where we're at yet. It makes sense. So we've made the mistake of doing things, trying to go too fast, to where we kind of backed ourselves in a corner. I'm also like, I'm what you would call an early adopter. So I'm always trying to stay up on top of like what's going on out there. I used to probably overwhelm Allison with that, because I would bring like 20 shiny objects on her plate, and then she would have to like, you know, keep me under control. Like, well, we'll look at these 3, you know, that's just me. That's my visionary mind, you know? Another thing too is that, you know, I'm impatient sometimes. You know, like when a problem presents itself that technology can solve, I don't like waiting for my CRM provider to do this, or I don't like waiting. So at our company, we have a lot of very tech savvy people. Like people can code, can build their own stuff, you know. So like So it's a matter of perspective. Like we might not like work with the popularity wise, maybe what people consider the best CRM out there, but the CRM for us is the best because they'll give us an open API. They'll let us do what we want, so we can just go ahead and build our own modules while we wait for you to develop yours. Because I don't want to be handicapped on something to where I have to wait 6 months on your roadmap when this is something I need to solve right now. The downside of that is that you can get, we've gotten carried away with that to where like, well, we only have one, rather than having this giant development team who can manage things that break, we have one person that can manage things that break. So worst case scenario, if that one person dies, we might be in trouble. So like, that's what I'm saying. There's like, these are just lessons that we've learned along the way. So like, there's positive things about like being patient, waiting, doing this, doing that, being very strategic about it. And another thing too that we've learned the hard way is that sometimes it's better to adapt your process to what the CRM can do and maybe change your systems internally versus trying to shove the square peg in the round hole and make the CRM or the technology work for your process. So a lot of times it's actually just easier for long-term play and a long-term value scalability wise to just maybe tweak your stuff to work with the technology versus the inverse of that. And Alice could probably definitely attest to that because she's more hands-on with that than, you know, I've been.
And before I turn it over to you, Allison, the Q&A is heating up a little bit. So one person asked, what camera do you guys use for your trucks?
We use Samsara.
Okay.
So Samsara is a GPS and camera system. It has forward-facing cameras, cab-facing cameras. The only thing it does not have is the Omni cameras. We actually just finished communicating with Motive. If y'all are concerned about side swiping, they offer Omni cameras that can go on the sides. But Samsara has been good for us. It has some AI functionality. We use it to track when people are like looking at their phone, it'll detect a mobile event and it'll actually broadcast in the cab to tell them to put their phone down. It'll do the same thing if they're following too closely, if they have a harsh turn, harsh brake event, not wearing a seatbelt. So we get like a safety report that we monitor. And so weekly we'll communicate with the guys on where they stand on their safety score. That's huge. I mean, having those eyes out in the field, not only actually literally with the cameras, but having those scoring systems and using that, it's AI, but really it's kind of like a pattern tracking that it offers us.
And we had Derek Green on this morning to make it real. He lost a staff member in an accident, right? So this is protecting our staff, right?
Yeah, I know Derek really well. We're at a mastermind group together. And just to piggyback off like what Allison said and like what's important to her now since she's taken over as CEO at Wirks. And this is for any business owner who needs that 1,000-foot view, you know, like for me, I want data, I want it fast, and I want it accurate because what gets measured gets managed and what gets managed gets improved, you know, and that's the thing. It's the speed of that. And tracking all those things because you want to empower your leadership, make that happen because that's the stuff that leadership's going to use to improve things that are going to affect the bottom line substantially.
Can you talk more about the mastermind and who you look towards to help? We talked a little bit about this before, Eric, like who is advising you? Where are you getting your up-to-date information?
Yeah, so and like I've been kind of watching this conference off and on since it started, and I did catch Derek's presentation, and he's spot on with that. When you asked me and Allison to do this, and I immediately put on my what would a company owner want to hear hat, since you know I've been a company owner for a long time, and to summarize it in a big picture is probably the most powerful things that I've ever done. Especially on the technology side and anything side, is that I have mastermind with people who have the same mindset as I do, who have already gone the places that I want to go, or who are going the places I want to, who, you know, and be where I want to be. You know, I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. We all take risk as business owners, and like I said, I'm an early adopter, but I have peers in my mastermind group who are like early adopters on steroids, you know, so they're not afraid to take more risk than I am and try the most cutting edge stuff and then give feedback. So like, I feel spoiled because like we are able to be light years ahead of our competition because the people that I network with are already trying things, already doing things. Like every single piece of technology that we use, I didn't find on Google. They came from referrals from my mastermind group, you know, and like that all started from like a moving company owner Facebook group that me and Blake Fitzpatrick started like back in 2017. This has grown to a juggernaut, and that alone is just filled with about 1,500 vetted, licensed, and 100% legit moving company owners. And we're very, very, very strict about who gets in there. And then that's led to the mastermind groups that I've been a part of. And like, I have some of my, some of my best friends are moving company owners in different parts of the country. In fact, I'm flying out to see one of them this Friday, you know, to spend my wife and I are flying out to spend time with, you know, him and his wife and their kids. So it's going to be a good time. But that's just what's come about, you know, building these relationships. And so that's, and then another caveat is that it's just relationships, period. Like I build relationships with people in the industry. I build relationships like that with the vendors and the people I work with. And the rewards of that have been substantially. Like I get to give feedback that's heard. I mean, I got almost every single vendor's cell phone number in my phone. And this didn't happen overnight. Like a lot of these people I've been working with for 5+ years, you know. I get to, you know, sign NDAs, and then I get to see stuff that no one else gets to see. I get to have input in this stuff. I get to beta test things if I want to. You know, like the funny thing is, like the whole reason the Live Switch relationship happened is because like, at this point, I'm a busy guy. I don't have time. I think you guys cold emailed me and I just forwarded it to Allison. And then fast forward like several months later, my team has a huge relationship with you all. And then I found out you guys came to our location, you spent time. So like some of the best advice I have is treat the relationships of these vendors like they're members of your staff. You'll get back what you put into it, you know, and that's been the result that I've experienced. I mean, like just to do like, besides like you guys, like, you know, I have a strong relationship with the owner of Movegistics that we use, Darsh, you know, and he's just been awesome with that, and like who we use for SEO and PPC, which is Brian Bloom, Move Research Marketing. I'm flying out to San Diego here in a month, and I'm having dinner with him for different purpose, you know. And then I have like a huge relationship with the owner of USA Home Listings, which is Greg, and and that's probably one of our #1 marketing sources, you know. So that's my best advice, like big picture, you know, network and build strong relationships. You get back what you put into them, and just like besides the peers you work with, build strong relationships with the people that you do business with as well. And I'd say that's had the most tremendous impact for me.
To be candid, this is exactly where this conference came from. You know, these partnerships that we forge even across vendors, like even we've got Supermove on here and Rotate with Travis, like we just randomly met each other, got to know each other, built those relationships, and out blossoms this because we had a relationship, right? Because Blake introduced us in that mastermind group to you guys, and that's how you guys came to us. And I've got 2 questions from the audience. It's the same question. What is the name of that mastermind group again, and how can people join that if they were interested?
Oh, so I mean, as far as the Facebook, the broad Facebook group, that's Moving Company Owners Unite. And then the mastermind group, the mastermind groups that I'm part of, they're just private. They're like invite only. And then there's one coming up that Allison and I are going to be a part of. In fact, the person who runs that, or her name's Tracy. I think she's about to be a guest on your thing. Her and Allison and I are really, really excited about that. And then good buddies of mine, Wade Swyko and Chad Coatney, they have something called Move and Tighten Retreat that have branched off from are like one of our main mastermind groups we're in. So like there's plenty of opportunity. Even just like if you want to go to the Lewis Massaro conference, like, and I'm only speaking for myself, like me personally, I could care less about walking in the event. The most powerful thing for me, only speaking for myself, is being surrounded by hundreds of moving company owners. And that's where the magic happens, you know. And no matter who your vendor is, if you're doing good business with a vendor, build as strong as no matter what CRM provider it is or what virtual survey, no matter who it is, build as best relationship as you can with that vendor. And especially if that vendor is working with other team members in your staff, it's 10x paid for itself for me.
How much time are you guys spending in networking, right? And where does it on your priority list? I mean, Allison, you took the helm as CEO. Where are you going to put networking and into your priority list when you got a million other things on it? Like you're just trying to get things done. Where does it rank, and how do you do it? And help us out.
So one of the things that Eric's working with me on is that the value of networking is definitely up there. As far as building those connections, having that mastermind concept behind you, people to bounce ideas off of, to get that fresh look at it. For me, I can definitely say that I could prioritize networking more. I tend to be kind of the person behind the curtain. I'm very comfortable in that role. And so I'm very comfortable letting Eric lead that networking thing, but I'm also extremely excited to go to this mastermind that we have upcoming and to talk to the other company owners that we'll be working with. I mean, I will geek out with you on all kinds of stuff. Like when it comes to KPI metrics, technology, best practices, leadership. These are all things like I was writing down all of the things that Derek was recommending for the books to read. I love that. I'm right there with him with audiobooks, going to and from work. So when I get into a room with other bright people, I want to ask them questions. Like Eric said, don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I tend to want to kind of interview everybody in the room and get their feedback on certain things that may be pain points for us. One of the things that I found most valuable recently is that we're part of a captive, and we get to go and talk to people from all different industries, but they all are dealing with safety and compliance issues. And so I'll just, we have roundtable events there, and I'll just grill everybody on like, hey, what are you doing with cameras? What are you watching for? How are you hiring? What are you doing about drug tests and things like that, where there are pain points in our industry for sure, but when you start to broaden your look, you see that there are pain points for a lot of industries.
Yeah, absolutely. And these questions are coming in live, guys, so we're just taking them as they come. I got another one.
Also, part of the Q&A panel later on too. I saw my name there, so I assumed I'm part of it.
Oh, actually, we took you out because we had so much, but I can talk to you offline after this. I'll talk to you offline, Eric. But let's get right into it, because let's do the Q&A right now. We got it right now, Eric, coming at you. So I don't know if you guys can relate, but this question is about, we have too many employees that are comfortable doing the bare minimum. And when you're bringing in this technology that's a change agent, how are you either equipping for change agents or hiring for change agents so you can bring this new technology into the dough when everyone just wants to be like, I don't want to do that. I didn't sign up for this.
You want me to answer that, Allison? Do you want to answer it, or do you want us to both answer it? So I'll answer.
Eric, go first. Go.
I'll answer in a high level. So every single position, like, it goes back to accountability, right? We just don't want to have a gut feeling that someone's not doing their job. We just don't want to have a gut feeling that that's the source of the problem. So it goes back to like, I want data, I want it fast, and I want it accurate. Okay. Every single position. Now, the level of what this is going to be different depending on position. Every single position should have a checklist and an end of day report. Every single one. Work up the chain. It could be like, we'll throw a term out there. The mover driver one could be the mover one could be as simple as like the perfect move checklist. They follow the perfect move checklist. This step, this step, this step, this step, this step. Make them send it back to you. I'm totally spitballing here. And then that way, like if you're doing quality assurance, like it could be like, we did a walkthrough of the customer. We introduced ourselves. We cleaned up after ourselves. We did this, we did that, we did that. Every single position in the company should have a checklist and an end of day report. That alone will solve ungodly amounts of problems, or at least direct you to the accurate source to where it's either a coaching opportunity, or we have to start getting to the or a training opportunity, a coaching opportunity, or now we get into the disciplinarian side. Because what most owners don't realize, and I've also been guilty of this, is that a lot of times, and I think Winston touched on this, a lot of times the failure of your employee is your damn fault and your team's fault. You did not set them up for success. And one of the things that we have at our company is that, like, I haven't fired anybody for a long time. So anybody in leadership who has to terminate somebody, we better damn make sure that we go to bed at night knowing that we exhausted every resource, knowing that we've set that person up and gave them every opportunity to possibly be successful. And that comes back to like our core values of a company, which is like extreme ownership, integrity, and altruism. That's kind of our three main core values in our company. And so like we try to make sure that everything's done along those lines. And that kind of plays into like extreme ownership, so.
Eric, all that being said, this is so good. I'm literally getting active text right now, like, get Eric on that Q&A panel. So guess what? You're back in action, my man. Like at 3:35, everyone bring more questions for Eric, but this is powerful stuff. I mean, Allison, do you want to add anything to this? Let's just sit in this for a little bit because it is so powerful.
Yeah, so whenever you have somebody who's resisting change, which I think is the heart of the question, the first thing is to understand why they're resisting change. And so you really do want to understand, are they scared of the outcome? Do they need more information to be comfortable with the process? Because everybody operates within their own circle and they just want to protect themselves. So understand where their motivation is, and oftentimes that can guide you into the correct answer. Now, piggybacking on what Eric said, if somebody is toxic to your culture and they are fighting the change to the point where it is preventing you from moving forward quickly, that person may not be a good fit for your organization. I don't find that that's oftentimes the case. I think that most people tend to just be kind of fearful of the outcome. But I have some people who they loved paper and it was their thing, and I'm trying to go on this mission of digitizing and shredding historical documents, and like for them to shred documents is like, it's okay, it's going to be okay, and talking it through them and making sure they understand it's safer in the cloud than it is in the filing cabinet. It's just finding those little moments and building that rapport with them.
I love it. And guys, I'm going off script. We're getting too many questions here, so I'm going to keep it coming because they're so relevant. So this is for either one of you, okay? This person asked, when building sales and hometown hero dominator. Oh, the question just disappeared, but I think I remember it. Like when you're the hometown hero, you're dominating. How are you using tech, and what tech did you use in the beginning to kind of establish yourself as that hometown hero? If I'm remembering this question, okay.
So this has also been touched on through in different ways through several different things that I've watched today. Everyone knows what compounded interest is, right? So it's the compounding effect. It's almost like what SEO does. You don't get, like, you pay a bunch of upfront money and you get a return later on. So when your main mission is giving a customer a 5-star service, and you build your entire company with that objective in mind, and then you have things in place to get those reviews. And I think Travis Weathers talks about this all the time. Like, one of the most basic, simple things that any company can do is get as many 5-star reviews as humanly possible. We get we try to get 5-star reviews and photos on every customer served, every one of them, because we know how powerful getting photos attached to your reviews are. So who do you think has an easier time selling a job? The guy with 100 reviews with a 5-star, a 5.0, or the company with 2,000 reviews of a 4.9? That's a rhetorical question. I already know the answer to that. And then like, that's what I call, you earn the right to be the most expensive. You earn the right to be the hometown dominator. Now we could have a whole hour conversation just on this alone, but like, as a very simple thing for big picture, it's building your entire company around the sole mission of delivering your customer a 5-star experience, and it's doing whatever it takes through incentives of your team or whatever simple process you have in place is to get that customer on every job to leave a 5-star review. That alone will make you. We all know this. There are companies who have been in business for 50 plus years who I've seen have like 30 some reviews online. What a shame. What a shame. So that's my
No,
feedback.
no, you're sitting right in. I did a webinar with a young entrepreneur, 26 years old, has a sod installation company. He's so brilliant. At the end of every job he does, he gives a little gift box. And to open the gift box, there's a sticker you got to tear, but it says, please leave us a review, and has the QR code before you tear into the box. So it really is got to be thoughtful. You got to put it in your process, and you have to earn, not just earn it by doing a great job. You got to think how we're going to get it, because sometimes in the process, you got to ask for it 7 times. That's what the data says. You got to ask for the 5-star review 7 times before you get it. Thank you so much for sitting these questions. Allison, I did want to ask you a little bit, unless you wanted to add anything else to what Eric is saying, because this is gold, about, I guess you geeked out on AI and phone systems not too long ago. Can you talk about that story a little bit?
Yeah, I think Eric actually touched on the concept as well, which is, so last year, November, I was looking into, I got wind of this concept, which is like live analytics of phone systems. So as your sales reps are calling, the manager can be alerted if there's like negative sentiment. And so I was like, oh my God, like I need this. I want this, right? Like I don't have time to listen to calls every single day. Like start getting into it, start digging into these systems. I mean, you're talking about increasing our costs like 100%, 200% for our phone system in order to get this technology. Now, I know that there's solutions like Dialpad that are doing some live transcription, and that they do offer sentiment analysis, and that things are getting more and more advanced as AI becomes more widely used. More softwares are starting to develop and refine the technology. So as I go down this path and I start trying to figure out how I can fit into my budget an increase of 200% increase to my communications platform, it dawns on me that like we're just not there yet. It's great, but it's the wrong size for our company at this time. What we need to master are the fundamentals. And this is something that Eric is great at driving home, which is checklists, have people do the processes that we've already put into place. And so if we're listening to 5 calls a week and we're actually coaching on those 5 calls a week, then we can actually make traction better than if we have an AI system that we also ignore. Do you know what I mean? If you're not going to listen to the calls without that AI technology, what is going to be different if you spend all this extra money to make it easier for your people?
I love it. The questions just keep rolling, guys. It has nothing to do with the phone systems, but let me roll right back really quick, and then we'll keep moving forward. We got a little bit of time, so we can sit in a few things because we're getting through our conversation really well. Go ahead, Eric.
To give an example, like I didn't wake up one day, so obviously the customers are loving what they're hearing. Okay. And this is to paint a big picture. I talk about building relationships. All right. I'm a smart guy, but I didn't wake up one day and know this stuff. Allison didn't wake up one day and know this stuff. All this information that apparently you all are finding valuable that I'm giving back to you right now, this all comes from the networking and the relationship building over the years. Like I said, like, do I learn stuff on my own through extensive research and consuming tons of time? Yes, but the most powerful things come from the people that I have relationships with, and it's a two-way street. Like if you think you're going to build relationships with high-end juggernauts in business, you better bring stuff to the table, because they may tolerate it for a few times, but the minute somebody, I'm just being very real and straightforward. The minute that one of these major players realizes you're just going to waste their time and you're being a vampire and sucking and just being selfish, they're going to cut you off. So you get back what you give. And in my experience, for the 100% of myself that I've given out there freely, I've only got back about 20%, but the 20% is 10x the value of the 100% I gave. So I just want to throw that out there for people who are going to probably try to pursue doing what I've done in the past 10 years of my life.
Yeah, you got to go with that mindset of giving. It's better to give than receive.
And that's part of our core values, and that's altruism.
It's worked for thousands of years. Probably going to work for a few thousand more, right? So this is not. Let me just ask this question. We're getting in the panel really quick. Do you guys do bonuses if they get those 5 stars right on site?
Oh yeah.
The job. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we offer a bonus program, so they get $10 per review that gets posted, and then if they hit 4 reviews in a single month, they get a bonus 50, and then if they hit 10 reviews in a single month, they get a bonus $100. Also, we've introduced a program where if they are in a picture, so number one, they have to be smiling and look happy in the picture. But if they are in that picture smiling and looking happy, we will actually give them essentially the equivalent of $1 per hour raise for that job. And so what that's encouraging is to take advantage of Google's kind of the word evades me. Anyway, their processes for identifying high quality local businesses involve geotagged images. And so it's awesome advice to get pictures with your reviews.
I love it. I love it. All right, we'll get back to the script that we have here. Eric, talk about getting data quickly and accurately and moving at that speed. Let's talk about data.
So I'm gonna be complete. So I told you like what I want as an owner. All right. I'm humble. I'm a humble guy when I know to be, and I will not do this question the service it can have if Allison answers this question. This is an Allison question.
You're being teed up, Allison.
Okay. So essentially talk about data and getting
data quickly, accurately, speed. I think you guys talked about like you move at the speed you need to move with that, but it's about data accuracy and moving quick with your data.
So understand the quality of the data that you're getting. Understand that 90% on some data is as good as you're going to get. And so it's a balance of what's the return on investment you're going to get for getting that extra 1%, you know? So like if I can get it to 92% accuracy, what is that going to give me in return? For the most part, especially with marketing, you are shooting for as good as you can. And it may only be 80% or 85%. I say all that to say that like the holy grail is 100% data accuracy, as I'm sure, you know, most people would seek out. But if you can get data quickly, it's actually more valuable than getting maximum accuracy because you can make decisions. I think I've heard it said that it's like 51% is how confident you need to be to move forward with a decision sometimes, right? You need to know that you need to make positive momentum in a single direction. So what I have found is that by using APIs, by using the data that our CRM can provide us, the data that CallRail can provide us, tracking metrics from Meta, tracking metrics from our internal system that we've built. When I bring all of those together and have them integrated, I'm getting, you know, fairly accurate data, but I'm getting it instantaneously. And so I can make decisions immediately. Now, the next thing is that anytime that you can eliminate a manual data entry process, a manual thing that gets in the way, you're going to increase your accuracy. So I'm all about a single system that does it all, but you have to remember that a Swiss Army knife is awesome. All of the tools are there, but if you're going to build a table, you're not going to do it with a Swiss Army knife. You're going to have a variety of specialized tools. And so the best that you can hope for as you grow is to find a way to bring all those tools together into a single hub. And Zapier is a great solution for that if you're low code. But that's like where I stand on data is that you want it to be accurate as you possibly can get it, but don't slow yourself down chasing 100%.
She answered that much better than I would have, James.
Is there anything you want to add or you good there? Is there anything?
No, I mean, because and see that this shows you something. Okay. When you're the owner of a company, okay, even when I was the CEO, okay, you don't need to be the expert at everything. You need to surround yourself with experts. And Allison a long time ago is just one of many experts that I've surrounded myself with. At the end of the day, as an owner, you're the visionary. And then I remember someone in passing, like Derek said, get off the truck as soon as possible. You know, one of the biggest mistakes owners makes is they have no idea where they're going. They have no idea what they want. And this goes back to like what Allison said that I preach all the time, man. The foundational stuff is so important. It's the most important stuff there is, isn't it? And one of the biggest mistakes that owners make, that I have made, is we get away from how powerful doing A is, you know, which leads to B and gives you C. But the other caveat to being a visionary is that one of my biggest handicaps is I want C now. I don't care how messy A and B look, I want C now, you know? And once again, I'm constantly reminded, like, hey, fundamentals, foundation, you know, you can build a beautiful house, but if it's on top of sand, it's going to crumble, you know? So that's the thing, man. Like you can't do it all. You can't be the best at everything. You got to surround yourself with experts, you
I
know,
love it.
and it's easier as time goes on. Like if anyone's ever heard my story in many of the podcasts I've done, like for the first 2 years of my company, I wanted to light it on fire every single day, had 15 different job titles, and my life was absolutely miserable. So I get it. You know, you got to start somewhere. And usually the starting point is very, very painful. At least it was for me.
Yeah, the team of me, myself, and I. It's a bit varying at times, right? So what we're going to do with 5 minutes on the clock is I've got some rapid fire questions we're going to do. So, right, we'll do 5 minutes or maybe a few minutes of rapid fire questions. And if we have any minute at the time, I have one of my own questions that I'm so curious about. So let's start. Here we go. First question on the clock, and first person to raise their hand between Allison and Eric, you get it. What is your review process like? Internal versus external feedback are both different. And how do you guys give customers motivation to complete surveys like these? What's in it for the customer? What's in it for the customer to receive a survey? Go for
I'll
it.
take that since I'm in the day-to-day for it. So first and foremost, get your guys to ask for the review. They're the ones who are most successful at getting it. Then your CRM, I think most of the major ones offer the automatic follow-up with the review. So you want to hit that customer 3 times in an email, space it out. You want to hit them right after the move. You want to give them a little bit of time before that last one because they're unpacking. They're not thinking about you. So go ahead and hit them like 3 or 4 days after their move. And then we've actually done it to where like at the end of the month, we'll send it out and we'll be like, hey, there's still time to get your guys a review, you know, and that's a manual one. But we track who's gotten back to us and who hasn't. As far as internal versus external, so the system that we use, it does do a little bit of review gating, I think is the term, where it stops somebody from posting a negative review, gives us a chance to address it. And so we have a canned email we'll send to people that say, hey, we're so sorry, like what can we do to make it right? You know, and we send that out. And then if they get back to us, then we can make it right before they get to social.
That's awesome. All right. I'm going to keep Allison on the mic. Eric, I know I said I'd give you a chance, but all the rest of these questions are for her. I can tell. Allison, do you have any bonus structure for movers outside of reviews bonus? And if so, would you mind sharing?
Yeah, we do. We have a scorecard that we use. So every day our training manager will calculate who was on time, who was in uniform, who posted pictures of their job in Slack, and so shared with us valuable information, who like put a lock on the truck, you know, like, and so we're giving points for things that they're expected to do every single day. But it's just that extra bonus incentive for them. And then at the end, that's how we use the points are used to calculate their quarterly share of the bonus.
I love it. Okay, one more for you, Allison. Allison, can you please repeat the bonus incentives you offer for, I think you just did that, bonus incentive you offer for reviews, but I think you just did that.
And I think somebody posted it in the chat as well, if I saw that pop up right.
Yeah, and then somebody, I put the wrong link in there for the reward program. So if you, Eric or Allison, you don't mind putting the link for the reward program, I think you mentioned it. And then the last question before we transition, we have 1 minute left. I know everyone's curious. I am. Eric, you made Allison CEO, right? You started with a team of me, myself, and I. Why did you decide to put someone else in as a CEO?
Big picture, answer this really fast. And I think even Derek touched on this as well. This is my version of it. Like I had to get honest with myself. Okay. And this was an internal humbling moment for me. And what I mean by that is that I'm involved in other things. The moving company is a percentage of my livelihood and income. Okay. And I came to the realization of like what this company really needed. And I was doing this company a disservice by being 25% in when the company needs a leader that's 100% in, you know, and, you know, fortunate for me, I had the perfect person who not only I knew without a shadow of doubt could do it, also wanted it, and whose vision was in line with mine. Because the reality is that when you have a CEO, you as an owner, you know, it's their vision now. Okay. And you get the hell out of the way. You are not here to be their obstacle. So I am a shareholder only. I don't take a salary. I don't take a paycheck. We either make profit or I don't get paid. And that's how that looks now. So I went from 1,000-foot view to now I'm at a 10,000-foot view.
Yeah. No, but that's it. I mean, I think people want to know that. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Eric. This